As our plane approaches the airport, we are asked to close the blinds on our windows, a telling sign of what is to come. Outside, military personnel line the streets as far as the eye can see. Srinagar resembles a ghost town, crisscrossed with concertina wires and security personnel. Movement is severely restricted, even for journalists. So press. In the days leading up to the revocation of Article 370, the Indian government moved 45,000 additional troops to Kashmir, tightening its grip on a region that is already infamous for being one of the world's most militarized zones. With even pro-India opposition leaders under house arrest, fear and anger are palpable amongst those who braved the curfew to come out on the streets.
India is trying to exert its power on us. All over there's a military occupation. We've been locked in our homes. And then this new law has been forced on us. We do not accept it. No matter what, we will take back our special status from India.
This unprecedented crackdown is causing tensions to flare.
Madam, hide your camera, please.
Time and again, we have to reroute our journey to avoid protesters or policemen who do not want our camera around. The city is gripped by fear and mistrust. The situation is particularly tough for Kashmiri women. We meet Ulfat, who agrees to invite us into her house on the condition that we don't reveal her last name.
I don't want to show my face because I'm scared.
With most shops closed, she has been struggling to provide for her family.
My husband has a back problem. How can we manage? My kids have been running around every day to get medicines. This morning they bought some for me. How will we manage? Who will help us? I'm so tense. Death is better than this.
Ulfat has not left her house in 6 days. In the absence of a daily wage, her family is close to the edge.
We don't have anything left to eat. Nothing.
How long has this been going on?
When there's no money, what can we eat?
At our request, Ulfat invites some women from the area to talk to us. For them, as for many Kashmiris, the personal safety of their loved ones is of paramount importance.
We're scared. We don't go outside. If we do, they will fire bullets on us, as they have been ordered from the center. That is why we don't allow our kids and men to go outside. We women also don't go anywhere.
Today we have nothing. We are in mourning.
It's now been a week since the valley was completely cut off from the world, and people are starting to get desperate. They have not been able to reach loved ones living in a different part of the city or elsewhere in the country.
People are waiting here since morning 9 and still they didn't got the time to make a phone call. It's totally messed up.
Local authorities have made 2 phones available that people can use to make a single shot call.
I've come here to call my child. I've been trying to do this since morning, running everywhere for it. No one has helped, not a single officer. Please think about our kids. Think about their future, their studies, their health. Kids are dying at home right now.
The Indian government insists that these are only temporary measures to ensure law and order. Back in New Delhi, we meet Ram Madhav, one of the chief ideologues of PM Modi's Bharatiya Janata Party. He explains that the revocation will usher in a new dawn of economic prosperity.
Repeal of this article has today given us greater possibility of more investments into the state, more development, more job creation. better political empowerment at the grassroots level, and also extending all fundamental rights to all the citizens of Jammu and Kashmir.
The government has planned a huge investor summit in October to draw investment to the region.
One of the factors for radicalization of the youth in Kashmir Valley especially, in fact parts of Kashmir Valley, has been lack of development reaching to the last man on the street.
But analysts remain skeptical of such promises. We meet one of India's most prominent economists, Jean Drèze, who is in Srinagar on a fact-finding mission.
One of the misleading things that are being said all the time in India about Kashmir is that it's a kind of backward region which needs development, and that what has happened will permit development. Now this is really absurd, because Kashmir, Jammu and Kashmir is actually one of the more developed states of India, not just in terms of economic development, but also in terms of many social indicators, whether you look at mortality rates, schooling rates, nutrition levels are quite all right. So, if anything, I think that India has to learn from Jammu and Kashmir about development and not try to impose its own model.
The timing of the clampdown has added to the hardship of people in what was until recently India's only Muslim majority state. Eid, a major festival for Muslims, is only 2 days away. For Kashmiri businessmen like Ramiz, the loss of revenue over the festival period will be hard to recover from.
As you can see, all the shops are shut. Everything is closed. This is the time for business. This is my business, it's also shut. Eid is when we work, we depend on it. If you look ahead, you'll see the whole market is shut.
He is also concerned about how the curfew will impact an important religious ritual.
During Eid, we sacrifice goats. Normally, there's a very big market where these goats are sold. But now, as you can see, we're being forced to buy them on the streets.
Everything is shut currently. I will again repeat my words. We are just feeling that we are being paralyzed here.
Only a few kilometers away, the neighborhood of Saura Anchar has emerged as a focal point for resistance. Young and old have been gathering here every day in defiance of a law that bans public meetings. They believe that India has violated assurances enshrined in its own constitution.
Our assurance that shall withdraw our troops from Kashmir as soon as peace and order is restored, and leave the decision regarding the future of the state to the people of the state is not merely a promise to your government, but also to people of Kashmir and whole world.
Many here see the revocation as a betrayal of that promise and feel that this has further alienated them.
They have taken a decision without asking Kashmiris, without taking us into confidence. So much has happened here, and they never treat us with decency nor humanity.
Speaking so freely can come at a high cost. The military in Kashmir are accused of using brute force against protesters. This group of young students has just brought their injured friend to the hospital.
I live in Sura. We were protesting there and suddenly the police arrived. They attacked us with pellet guns.
The pellet gun has become the military's weapon of choice. None of them want to risk showing their faces on television, but the victim echoes the same resentment we have been hearing again and again.
This weapon's for using on animals, but here they're using it on us. There's so much injustice against Kashmiris right now. I want to tell Modi to leave our Kashmir. We want our freedom.
Finally, it's the morning of Eid, the holiest of days for many Kashmiris. Despite the government's promises, restrictions have not only remained in place, but have actually been tightened in some areas. Srinagar would normally be bustling with activity, but today there is an eerie calm. The biggest mosques are locked down, and the loudspeakers that blare the call to prayer are silent. Movement is severely restricted, and those coming home to see their families are shocked by what they find.
I have been coming from Delhi, and the media in Delhi, they already said that everything is fine, shops are open, there's no curfew here in Kashmir. I have been walking all the way, almost 20 kilometers by walk, and still I have to go again 20 kilometers to my home to reach my family because I didn't have any contact. The police barricades have stopped us more than 20 times. That where are you going? There's curfew. We can shoot. We'll shoot you. So everything is fake. Whatever the news goes out from Srinagar, it's everything fake. Really, you can see my condition. I've been all the way from Delhi.
Some in the national media have thrown their weight behind the government, putting out reports that have little bearing to the reality on the ground. We go back to meet Ramiz, who has decided to offer prayers from the safety of his house.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, walillahil hamd. Ye namaz
The prayers we offer for Eid are supposed to be in a gathering according to rules of Islam. But it's the first time in my life, I'm 27 years old, that I'm offering them at home.
As a businessman, Ramiz is keen to see peace restored to the region.
Request to the people of India and especially to the government of India is just to look towards the constitution of the India. Just follow the rules and the regulations of the constitution of India.
But there are many who feel that there is no middle ground left. On Eid, thousands have gathered once again in Sora.
Where is the democracy? Indians say they want to love us. They say they want to mend relations with us. Today is our Eid. So why are there armed forces everywhere? Why are we locked up? What have we done?
To keep the military out, people have blocked the streets with makeshift barriers. They are determined to continue their resistance with the only weapons they have: slogans and stones.
Our reporter Sarabi Tandon is still with us. Sarabi, thank you for that report. In it, we saw a young man wounded by a pellet gun. What's the latest you can tell us about him?
So you know that victim was 15 years old, and when we met him, he was rushing to the hospital to have an X-ray done to make sure that the pellets hadn't lodged into any vital organs of his body. But as soon as he was in the clear, he also wanted to rush out and go home because he was under the fear that he might be arrested. Now, it's assumed if you are hit by a pellet gun, you were protesting, so you could be arrested. And that's sort of the unfortunate reality for a lot of young people who are hit by pellets in the valley. They live under a double fear of more repercussions from the state and the military.
We're going to listen now to someone that Sarabi interviewed, a woman who can bear testimony to the fears that much of the population have now about the violence that could erupt in Kashmir.
We heard that in the neighborhood of Batamalo, Indian soldiers went inside houses at night and broke the doors and windows. They have picked up young boys and men. They beat up women. Whoever tried to stop them was also beaten up. If you just went 5 or 6 houses ahead, you will find families in this area as well whose sons were picked up by the army. They picked up 3 to 4 boys who were young teenagers.
Sarabi, 3 women in that little clip there. I'm wondering how widespread is what they are saying, what they are feeling. How widespread is this fear about violence?
So officially, the Indian government has not released any figures on arrests, but some media outlets claim that almost 4,000 such arrests have been made. This lady that we spoke to wasn't the only one who told us that the military was coming in to different neighborhoods at night and arresting young men and young boys, in fact, as she mentions. In fact, in one of the areas that we filmed in the report, the area with the big mosque that has a lot of protests, young men men were keeping vigil all night for the entire time that I was there to prevent the military from coming in at night to make these arrests.
Sarabi, thank you very much indeed, Sarabi, of course, watching for all developments for us in Kashmir. You can see Sarabi's report again via our website, www.france24.com. This is Reporters on France 24. Stay with us.